Hello everyone, I'm Nick Packer, coming to you live from Virginia Beach, Virginia, with my video blog for Vampire Diaries, season 3, episode 11, Our Town. Sorry, this is a couple days late. Too much work and not enough free time to actually get to the computer. Anyway, so Our Town. A lot of people said they thought episode 10 was kind of slow going. Well, episode 11 was definitely not. That pretty much made up for the lack of action. Looks like Klaus has decided to go about things a bit differently. Apparently, he's starting to see that violence, like direct violence, is not getting the job done. So he's decided to change his tack completely. Whereas, on the other side of the fence, Stefan has pretty much lost his marbles. The episode picks up with another glorious shower scene with Damon. I don't know how many they're going to have this season, but hey, whatever. It's perfectly fine. Anyway, I would almost say, I think it's the first time I've ever actually seen him with a genuine smile on his face. Not the shit-eating grins smile after he's done something wrong that he believes is right, but an actual, genuine, happy smile. He's finally got to do something that he's been wanting to do for, well, ever. And he's reveling in it. Stefan comes over. Hey, bro, you're late. You need to go to the witch house. And he even sees it too. He's like, what's your deal? Why are you so chipper? And of course, Damon's not going to answer him because that would probably wind up in a fight. Well, maybe not. And so Stefan gives it down. But on the other side of town, Elena is with Alaric once again in Buffy mode, doing training against the heavy bag. But she's punching a little bit harder than she would normally, and I think she's a little frustrated. I don't think she's angry at Damon for what he did. I think she doesn't know what to think. She's confused and maybe a little tormented and maybe even feeling a little bit guilty. Not just about the fact that she kissed him, but about the fact that she knows she enjoyed it. She doesn't believe that she should have. Alaric is picking up on that something's up with her, but she won't mention it. She just asked if he had spoken to Damon, and he said that he hadn't seen him. So Damon and Stefan are supposed to go to the witch house to try to figure out if Bonnie's been able to open up the coffins. Bonnie has been trying all manner of spells, and nothing has seemed to work at this point. Klaus is at a point where he's tired of waiting, and he knows that the direct approach isn't working anymore. On the flip side, Elena and Bonnie are trying to do something nice for Caroline for her birthday because she's just turned 18, but Caroline's kind of not in the mood for it. She feels like, what's the point of celebrating her 18th birthday if she's never going to age? Because she was turned when she was 17, so what's the point anymore? So instead, they decide to throw her a funeral to let the old Caroline go so that the new Caroline can come back and have some closure and be happy. In the midst of all this, Stefan comes to Klaus at Klaus's new house and tells him, you need to get your hybrids out of town or I'm going to dismember them one by one. And he thinks Stefan's bluffing, he's not going to touch them until he slices one's head off right in front of Klaus. And I got to tell you, for everything that Klaus says about how nothing seems to affect him, trust me, the shit that Stefan's doing is having an effect. He doesn't show it completely, but it is there. There's shock in his face, because I don't think he believed that it was possible for him to push Stefan that far. But he did. Another really sweet scene. Tyler comes to talk to Caroline, wish her a happy birthday. He knows that she doesn't want to talk to him. So are we supposed to have any contact until he deals with this siren stuff? But he still feels like, he loves her and he still wants to wish her a happy birthday. And he gives her a charm bracelet as a gift. Um, Meanwhile, while Elena and Bonnie are planning this party for Caroline, Bonnie is not too keen on the idea that Elena had Damon compel Jeremy to leave town and go to Denver. She doesn't believe that his mind should have been messed with in that way, that he should be free to make his own choices, and that just because things were sour between them because of what happened with Anna doesn't mean that she still doesn't care about him. And she almost threatens to tell Jeremy anyway. Elena's practically having to beg her not to say anything because he would never understand. And she was only doing this to protect him because he's the one thing left that she has that she doesn't want to lose. The only member of her family left, and she can't risk it. She believes it's the only way that she can keep him safe. So Bonnie doesn't really say anything outright, but you're not sure what exactly she's going to do. So fast forward, founding families are having yet another party, apparently raising funds for the repair of Wickery Bridge. Just what Elena doesn't want to deal with. Of course, all the parties are always just an excuse to have another founders council meeting. And lo and behold, who is in the house? But Klaus. Apparently, who now has a written invitation into the Lockwood household. For anybody that thinks that Carol didn't know anything, apparently comes to light in this episode. She does. She knows everything. Not just the fact that he is a werewolf, but she also knows that he's a hybrid. And she knows that Klaus did it. And you can tell that she's torn. She doesn't like the idea that her son is suffering. And Damon even points out to her, why are you befriending this man that has torn your son's life apart? It's virtually destroyed him. But she feels like she has no choice because it's pretty much the lesser of two evils. If you can even believe that. It's kind of shocking to me, too, to think that at one point Klaus was this huge, big, bad evil that no one thought they could get rid of. And now it almost seems like he's the lesser of two evils. Because Stefan himself was saying the only way that he could get to Klaus was to be the better bad guy. I did not think it was possible for him to go off the rails that much. In a really screwed up sort of way, him without the humanity is less worse than him with humanity, but as Damon said, with a dimmer switch. Because you remember what Damon was like when he was angry and he felt like he had nothing left in the whole world and all he had was this huge ball of anger, and he went out and destroyed everything he came in contact with. Humanity with a dimmer switch. Potentially more horrible than Stefan without the humanity. Because even Damon, as well as he knows his brother, doesn't know to what lengths that he will go and can't predict what he's going to do next. He's literally off the rails even with the humanity. Because he's at a point where he doesn't care. He will do whatever he has to do to destroy Klaus. And Damon is practically begging me, saying, please give up the damn coffins already. Because it's almost worse, Klaus insinuating himself into Mystic Falls. He's already told Stefan that as long as he gives him the coffins, that he will leave everybody in town alone. Y'all can go about your merry way, have your lives, because I really don't care what you all do. I just want my family back. Period. You guys can have your town. You can have your lives. No one will ever be touched. No one will ever be harmed. Period. Point blank. Which is a very simple offer. But Stefan is so consumed with hate and anger that he can't see anything beyond destroying Klaus. So in retaliation for Stefan killing one of Klaus's hybrids and continuing to kill more hybrids, he brings Tyler over to the house, and he tells him, I want you to bite Caroline. And that's one thing that Tyler says he will not do. He might not have control over many of the decisions that he makes, but he can at least have control over what he does and doesn't do to the girl that he loves. Not going to happen. And he feels like he's finally been able to take some control over his own life. So that night, Matt, Bonnie, and Elena with Caroline, they take her to this cemetery, to uh, this tomb, to have a funeral. And they're having a good time. They're drinking some alcohol. They're just chilling, talking about old times, sharing stories. They have a little cake. And lo and behold, who should show up? Tyler. This is the same night as that Founders Council party. Tyler shows up. He doesn't want to make any trouble. He just wants a minute so that he can talk to her. And she, Caroline being Caroline, and she has such a good heart, and she feels like, okay, I can at least spare him up a minute. She goes out there to talk to him, and he says to her that you might not think that I have control over my actions, but I know that I do, because Klaus wanted me to hurt you, and I'm not going to do it. I already told him no. There might be a great many things he can control over, but he can't control this. He can't make me hurt you. And they start to kiss, and you think, oh, maybe finally everything's going to be okay, and then, oh, hell no. He kisses her neck and accidentally bites her. He's subconscious. He's not even thinking about it. It just happens. And he can't believe what he's just done. She backs into a tree, and he tries to help her, and she doesn't even want him to touch her. And he runs off, freaking out. She's been gone for a little too long, so Matt and Bonnie and Elena are trying to find her. And, eventually, Matt and Bonnie do find her, and they bring her back home to her mother. Well, Elena gets scooped up by Stefan, because before this, Stefan went over to the Lockwoods and kind of crashed the party and attempted to kill another hybrid in front of Klaus. Klaus was at the point where he had enough. I'm thinking there's one or two things his reasoning for wanting to get rid of Caroline. I know for a fact he didn't actually want to kill her. It was never his intention. Because if he wanted her dead, he would have done it himself. Or he would have had one of the hybrids go over and just rip her to pieces. I mean, this had much more impact. He never had any intention of killing her, I believe, thoroughly, that he was going to go and give her his blood no matter what. The idea was that her mother would have no choice. She would have to make a deal with Klaus, invite him into her house to save her child, and therefore be more sympathetic to his side of things. So he's making another ally, while at the same time making a statement. So Stefan crashes the Founders Party and attempts to kill another hybrid, and Damon tells him, look, I know my brother better than anyone, but even I can't predict what he's going to do, but I'm telling you, if he says blink, you blink. He's serious. Because while they were at the party, Stefan had grabbed Elena from the cemetery, and he was driving her at like 100 miles an hour across Wickery Bridge, the same spot where her parents died. And he knows this because he's the one that saved her life. And he tells, first Damon calls to find out what the hell is going on. He says pretty much screw off, she's fine, blah blah, click, throws her phone out the window. Then Klaus calls and they have a little argument, and he says, if you don't get your hybrids out of town, I'll throw her off the bridge, and then I'll throw Elijah into the Arctic. And Damon, you could tell his face, he looked like he was about to scratch, like to claw the fucking walls, because he didn't know, he felt helpless. He didn't know what else he could possibly do. Even as a vampire, there's no way he could get there in time to save her. And he didn't know how far Stefan was willing to take it, but it seemed in his mind he was willing to take it pretty damn far. I've never seen him beg for anything, but this time he definitely begged. Not like on his knees like a dog, but I'm saying you could tell in his eyes he was terrified. He was like, look, if he told you to blink, then goddamn it, blink, because he is not kidding.